Do what?
All right. All right. Welcome to another element or another show of the Four Elements United. Tonight, I'm your host. This is Water.
This is when.
I'm fire.
This is Earth. Almost went counterclockwise again.
Shocker.
Hey, well, I'm going to tell you what the bigger shocker is that we actually are on time. Look at this.
What?
Look at this. It's 8 o'clock. You know what? This is the first time, people, whoever's watching this live or if you're watching the replay, this is the first time in history that we are actually on time. It's 8 p.m. Eastern, and here we are.
It's not
live.
Wow. I think we shocked our viewers because
they're
beyond shocked. They went from 2 to 0.
2-0. No one expects this, right? So they'll come.
Right.
They'll be here about like in 30 or 45 minutes. But
yeah, true.
Wind, I think you're wrong, bro. This is the first fire. We're late every time. Go ahead. You're the type A guy that's like, look, fire called a all hands meeting last week. It's like, hey guys, we have to be on time.
I couldn't take it no more.
We have to be on time.
I felt like we were out of integrity collectively.
Yes, we have been out of integrity for real.
Collectively?
And so,
Yeah.
Yes, collectively. So,
I'm gonna leave that right there.
yeah. We want to apologize. We want to apologize collectively
Yes.
to all of you and say, hey, listen, we are on time, and that's one of our new things is to be on time. But enough about that, okay? Because last time, actually, we're doing a part 2 of last week's show because we ran out of time. It went over a little bit, but we decided, hey, listen, we had so many questions. We were bombarded. We were inundated with questions where we could not get to all of them. We probably got through I don't know, 20% of the questions. This show, we're not going to get through all the questions. And we're going to pretty much stick a fork in it after this because we could probably do 10 shows successively with the questions that are coming in still, the questions that will come in and all that stuff. So we're going to just try to do a round robin of questions and try to rapid fire, but take your time, guys. We don't need to rush through these. We want to make sure less is more. So if we give less questions, but we give more comprehensive, complete answers, then I think that'll probably be sufficient.
Yeah.
What you guys think about the last show, though? Let's talk about this. What'd you think about the last show?
First, I just want to say really quick that Saren is like she's shocked we're on time. Like she's like, wow. I just wanted to put that out there real quick, but go ahead.
Yeah, we're on time, so get used to it. Fire, based upon Fire's new rules, if we're not on time, then there's a problem. Okay, so what do you guys think about the last show?
I thought it was hot. I really appreciated the engagement. It was funny. It kind of seemed like we had asked for questions to be submitted a week in advance, and then it seemed like as we got closer to the show start, they just start coming in all crazy. I think at the end of the day, when you do a show like we did and like we're going to do today, you give people the opportunity to have us speak to the things that matter most to them, right? Ultimately, when you talk about creating value, it's really about the listener and less about us. So they got to really set the table with their questioning or line of questioning and get some feedback from us. So hopefully it was helpful to some people.
Yeah, I think it was hot. I enjoyed the show. I mean, it was a really good show. You know, like you said, we just have so many questions. We can do this. We have enough questions probably last a month. You think about 4 or 5 shows at least?
Yeah. And if we just continue to say, hey, keep sending them in, that probably would be the new that probably be the new show, I guess. But I think that we have a lot more to say than just questions that women are looking to hear answered. What'd you think, man?
I mean, I think all of our shows are great, but it's not up to me. It's up to the audience to let us know. So, you guys let us know in the comments. And you let us know by voting. Subscribe to our channel.
Always. This guy's going to always. He's always look, he's texting us the metrics and screenshots of the analytics and all that good jazz. So Wind is going to be the one pushing for that. But enough of that, guys. We wasted 5 minutes, and that's not what ladies are here for. Ladies are here to hear these answers. So let's get in there. 5 minutes in. Okay. So it looks like Wind has designated some of these questions as burning questions that some people are like, hey, why didn't you get to this last show? Why didn't you answer my question last show or whatever? So I'm going to give you one of these to start with. Why do some men resist expressing their love to the woman he loves? Not all at once.
I don't have that problem, man. I'm gonna go last because anybody who knows me, anybody who follows me knows that I have no qualms about edifying my queen. I don't know. It's one of my favorite things to do. So I really don't even understand the mind of a man who does that. I got to think about it.
Yeah, I'm in your boat. I mean, I can make some stuff up. I guess that's what I'll do. I could definitely make it up. And it's kind of...
So let me just set it off then.
Okay,
Yeah.
good, because these guys are really, really, guys, as if they don't know a friend who has that issue.
Right.
Go ahead, Wayne.
So first I would say is that real men that are in real love with a real woman does not have that problem at all. So if you have the perception that somebody is withholding, perhaps they don't really love you. That's number one. Number two, if they've been, egregiously hurt before and they want to barricade themselves, they might have some emotional baggage that impedes them from actually expressing that. It depends on how they grew up or, what impacted them, as they grew up. They could be, some street dudes that, really don't rock like that. They really don't express their emotions like that. Or, like I said, they could have been hurt by relationships, or they could have been hurt by, their parents or somebody older, some type of abuse, some type of power control trip that they experienced.
Ooh. Hey, you set it off, Wayne. Thank you very much. I will say, now that I had a chance to think about it, I think that some men actually don't have an empowering view of women. That they don't have an empowering occurrence of women at its crux, right? I think that a lot of men, quite frankly, objectify women, and it's about what they can do for them, and so it's somewhat of a huge job in a lot of cases. And so to be out here edifying a woman just is not congruent. Now, I made that all up, right? So because I don't resonate with these men, I'm just thinking, why would one be mute mum about the value that their woman brings to them or who their woman is for them outside of sex? Like, why would you be mute about that? Yeah, I don't get it. That's all I got.
Well, I thought about that. Everything everybody said was cool. Just how about some people just don't know how? It could be as simple as that. There's no magic pill you take that says this is how you express love, and some people just don't know how, just based upon life experiences, period. So generally, if a lot of times if someone came from just an example, it doesn't matter what your background is. This is excluding background, right? So where you're from, blah, blah, blah. But if you don't come from, for example, an environment that or a home where love is expressed in a certain way, you're trained how to love, period. It doesn't matter. Somebody can be someone who objectifies women and still know how to love a woman. He just may objectify women he doesn't love. I mean, it could just be that. And so I think it's just training, what type of, what type of primary caregivers did you grow up with? Did you grow up in a home where there was a lot of affection, where there was a lot of hugging, there's a lot of actually verbally expressing love, and that makes a huge difference in how you express love as an adult, period. That's just my view.
Yeah, those are great answers. And I would echo that. Listen, if you've never seen affection and kindness and caring, just imagine some people grow up in homes and never see that stuff. And I think it makes a bigger impact when you are younger, when you see that kind of behavior or don't see that kind of behavior. It really impacts you. And I don't think I heard this. That might be one reason, but the other reason is he just may not be into you. Like, no one actually said that, and he really may not love you and just been saying that he loves you. I hate to be the one to actually bring that out, but that happens. Women do that as well, but I mean, I guess men probably, I don't know. I wouldn't know the numbers. We would just be making it up. But those two things I would say would be reasons why you would see that type of behavior. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Obviously, water has a little water in the air because that was the first thing that I said.
Nice. Yeah. Well, you might hear some repeats, bro, because I am going through these questions, and you might say, "Hey, water is repeating what I said all night," just because, dude, there's too many questions. Next time, I'm going to shut it off at like 8 questions or something like that, so I can focus on the show instead of going through, scrolling through like, which one would be a good one next?
Yeah, but I just want to say one last thing. One last thing is that as a community, love has not been modeled well for us at all. I mean, we've gone through so much trials and tribulations, so much trauma that it's ridiculous. The only love that's been modeled for us, is the hurt and the pain and Lady and the Tramp and Cinderella, all the Disney stuff. So there's a wide gap, that needs to be filled, and we need to have, better models of Black love. And that's one of the things that we're trying to, change, with our podcast is, healing the community and having conversations that are constructive so that we can progress as a community.
Dang, I had one more thing to add to it. I don't know if I can come behind that. UNITY, Ujamaa, that speech. But I think it's important to note that I also think, and somebody watching, this may hit you right in the gut, but somebody watching is in a relationship, and you're focusing on everything that the person does that's wrong. You have what we call a racket about that person, right? So this person may cook, they may clean, they may take care of the kids, but they don't put out enough. Or they may put out, but they don't cook and clean, right? Or he may work, but he don't spend quality time with you and go for hikes and walks and take you out on dates. And so I think human nature is we get laser focused on the thing that somebody's not doing. And we forget all the other value that person's bringing to the table. And when you live from that place, it's incongruent to be edifying this person publicly and loving on them, because you're operating inside of the pain of what's missing, instead of being thankful for what you have and working through what's missing through communication and negotiation, and sometimes even compromise, and getting on the same accord in those areas that aren't working. So I ain't got nothing to say about her, man. She ain't washed the dishes. I ain't got nothing to say about him. I mean, he paid the bills, but we ain't been on a date in 3 months. I do see that. So I just wanted to add that before we moved on, Water.
I like that. I like that. So this is good. Even though we burned 10 minutes on one question, guys, listen, if you're watching, this is not going to go the way you thought it was going to go. We're not going to blow through questions.
Hey, it's quality over quantity, bro.
Well,
Yeah,
you said
I
it.
got it.
You said it.
So here's the deal. So what you were saying, Fire, what I heard is that he actually really may love you, and he may be showing you how he loves you in his love language. That's what I heard you say.
Fact that
And you may expect him to show you that he loves you in your love language, where he's doing it in his own love language.
facts.
That's what I was hearing.
We love how we like to be loved, how we love first, and that may be a complete mismatch for your partner. She's like, your acts of service, you wash the dishes, like, and I need some quality time.
Yeah.
You're right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. So that's from the 5 love languages. If anyone is curious where that comes from, Wind does all the summaries. Put that link down to 5 love languages down at the bottom so that they can get that book. Okay, we complete on that question, guys. All right, cool. All right. So the next question, we kind of touched on this. This is a great one because we kind of touched on this, and there was kind of some about it, but let's go back to this question. Do you feel the expectations of being a man tough to live up to? Hey, so audience, notice how it's very silent after these questions. Last week it was like, oh, that's easy. That's easy. Earth's answer was, hey, that's easy. Oh, this is easy. Now it's like, hey, ooh, yeah.
For me, there's society's expectations of being a man, and it's immense. But me personally, my expectations of being a man supersede or transcend society's expectations. So for me, it's not hard. I think the more frustrating thing for me, if I'm being transparent, is that more men or most men haven't transcended society's expectations of manhood and maleness. And I think we're in a space where a lot of men are arguing and resisting and pushing back just that societal's level of expectation. And I'm like, man, define what maleness is for yourself, and also consider what society is asking you to do isn't enough, quite frankly. So for me, I don't have any issue with it. I don't get mad when people talk about providence, when people talk about protecting your family physically, emotionally, spiritually. I don't have anything going on about that. I don't have anything going on about paying all the bills, coming home, washing dishes, sweeping the floor. Right? I don't feel entitled to anything because I did that. It's like, that's what you do. I remember when I was younger, I had kids young, those of you who know, and my parents and my aunties and my grandmother would be like, oh, you're such a good dad. You know, you always got your kids and you buy. I'm like, that makes me a good dad because I have my kids. This is some low bar stuff. Like I'm just in my mind, I want to be a good dad. I'm just a dad. And so nobody else's ideology of what I should be as a man or a black man or a dad or a husband trumps my own ideology of myself. So I got, what you say, Ray Charles to the BS. I don't know what that is. I put too much pressure on myself to be moved by that. What you got, Earth?
No, it's great answer. I mean, I would have to agree. I mean, there's expectations, but you get to say whether or not it's pressure or not. I mean, there's expectations all over the place, but I get to say whether or not it's pressure, and I get to respond to it however I choose to respond to it. Period. So for me, like, there's no pressure unless I say it's pressure. Period.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. You live your own life, right? Especially if you're a conscious person, you dictate, your life. But there are some men that for certain that are out there that do feel the pressure of the standards of what's out there in the world. And we're in a new economy, and women are flexing on social media, as boss chicks, and they're traveling around the world. They have businesses, and they got nail salons, and they selling hair, and doing massages. They're doing all sorts of things. Very enterprising, very entrepreneurial, and sometimes that is tough to live against for a lot of men, because we don't have the same type of interest. We don't have the same type of opportunities, So there are certainly men out there that do feel that way for certain, and that's those are some of the reasons.
Yeah, I like how Wynn just put it. There are men who really, really feel that pressure. And is it tough to live up to? I'd say yes and no. Okay, based upon what, like, fire and earth, they already covered the no aspect of it. You get to make it up yourself. However, that's not how we go through everyday life. Okay, everyday life exists where we actually experience emotion. We actually go through situations. Things come up and it feels like the weight of the world is on your shoulders or something like that. And I think for a lot of men, the situation is different than it is for a lot of women. Wynn gave one aspect of the way that the new economy is. However, there's also I would say the older economy of, if a man were to lose his job, get kicked out of his house with his significant other, car breakdown, all at the same time, and he has to go home and live with his mom or something. I mean, let's be honest. What are you going to call that guy? You're going to call him a loser.
Yep.
Like, and imagine if that man comes up to you and he asks you out on a date. What are you going to say as a woman? Now, if you flip that coin over and put that shoe on the other foot, and if a woman's in that same situation, the man's like, oh, yeah, that's no problem. Hey, he approached you. You say, oh, this is going on. He's like, hey, no problem. And that's just the way that society is, for better or worse, the way that it is. So any men who are experiencing one of those situations that I just said, that may be a problem for them, and they may feel that pressure. The more of those situations, and then more other little things that happen, they may feel that pressure or whatnot. So that gives women who may be dealing with certain men perspective, because if they are dealing with that, then they may feel that pressure. It may really, really seem like a lot to them. And on to the next question. Why are men not better at accepting women's emotional nature?
Man. True, man, these questions make you think a little bit. It's conditioning, right? So I think about why, and I'm not in the least bit, I'm not perfect at all, but I think being raised by a single mom, I get that was my model. I don't think my mom was over.
Hey, there you go. The dog is telling on Fire that he's already starting to lie or something.
The door. Instead of getting the door so the dog don't bark, he wants to, pop in.
Look directly into the mic.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Nice.
Photo bomb.
Did you tell him that we're live right now? We're live, Aaron?
We're live, Aaron. This is in front of the world.
Nice.
See?
Oh my God.
Wow, we got the whole family.
Yes, it's God. This is my life. So,
Family affair.
thank you, baby. I love you. My mom, who raised me, obviously as a woman, I don't think she was overly emotional. She did display some anger. She had to be strong when she was by herself, and so that gave me the capacity to tap into my own feelings. In addition to that, my dad was, even though he was a man's man, he's a carpenter, man. That dude's hands is dirty right now. After work, his hands is sooty, dirty, black, calloused. But he always expressed his emotions. Yes, he expressed anger, but he also told me he loved me. Kissed me on the forehead, was always at my games, even though he wasn't custodial. He was always there. Told me he was proud of me. Told me about his feelings, and so I just don't have a reference point for it. So with that being said, sorry to take up so much time. I think to Irv's point earlier about showing love and knowing how to love, I think there's a lack of exposure, a lack of modeling, especially from the elder males in a young man's life. Leave it at that.
Okay, Water. Read the question one more time. I want to make sure my answer is what it is.
I don't even know what that question is, but let me try to find it here. Why are men not better at accepting women's emotional nature?
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's what I thought you asked. So, because it's confusing. That's why. And it's difficult to accept something that's sometimes it can be very confusing. Sometimes it can be very irrational. Sometimes it just comes up out of the blue. And you're like, whoa, what just happened? And that happens at times. But I think more so than anything, for me, from a personal experience, it takes, it's not like one standard for a woman's emotions. Every woman will display it differently, and it looks different. And so you may be in one relationship is this way, go to another relationship, and you have to totally readjust to something that's different. I'm not saying that like men are any different, but women, I think for the most part, sometimes it can be irrational, and you're like, why are you upset, or why are you mad at this person? Are you still mad at this person? And it's been like a year. It's been like 8 months, and it's to me it's confusing. It's irrational. It doesn't make sense. That's just for me.
Wow. Earth really took it there and said it's irrational. Oh man. Okay. When Earth says it's irrational.
Yeah, I was about to go there too. So thank you. That at the end of the day, we're not built like that. You know what I'm saying? So we can't relate. You know what I mean? So, all that craziness that you guys have. I mean, we're not with the nonsense. We just want to cut and dry, and we want peace and relaxation. We not stirred up by a bunch of stuff. That is petty and small and insignificant.
Wow, guys, you guys are pretty harsh today, man. What happened to you guys, man? Golly. So
it's experience that I could definitely say like I've experienced that, and it's like you can go meet your woman someplace, and she gets in the car, and it's like you can feel the funk. It's like she's in the funky space. What's going on? Everything okay?
Hey, chill.
Swear like everything is fine. Like,
chill. They're killing y'all in the comments, man. So I'm gonna put a cap on both of y'all before y'all stick both of your feet in your mouths. All right. And let me hook it up. Let me hook it up and say that. Listen, what they're like what these guys are saying. Let me interpretate. Let me mansplain this right quick. They really botched that one. We were very like for the first show, we were very elemental. For the first half of this show, we were very, very elemental. and something happened just now.
I love it.
But let me mansplain this one for you. What they're really trying to say is that it's different, okay? And it's something that we're not used to, and that most men, not all, a lot of their experience around their peers is that things are very cut and dry. So it could just be like, hey, I don't like that. And that's the end of it. And they're like, oh, okay, you don't like it. All right. Well, let's get rid of it or something. And now if the same situation were to happen around you, he's had that situation around his friends, his, other male counterparts for years and years. And then he says, I don't like that to you. And then all of a sudden it's bow, it's, what are you talking about? I spent 10 years, and then it just goes on and on and on. And not to say that every woman's like that. Okay. No one's trying to say that. However, I think the situations that they're referencing are maybe some explosive unloading on happenings and things like that. And if someone were to say that, and there was an emotional reaction that was intense, I think is the word, an intense emotional reaction, then probably what happens is to the man, he's like, dude, bro, I can't deal with that, man. Dude, she's crazy. Or what were the other words you guys were using? She's crazy, fool, she's irrational. She's irrational. Like, who does that? And unfortunately, it's just a breakdown in communication, and it's not anything that is no different than on the flip side. Women are looking for men to be more considerate and be more affectionate and be more. I can't even. Come on, guys, help me out. You know what I'm saying? Be more empathetic. That's the word I was looking for. More empathetic. Okay. So I think I'm going to give you the platform fire because I think this is a good one. I just think that so a lot of times men are seeing it from that perspective of kind of in man terms. And we're again not raised under those circumstances to where we might see that behavior and think, oh, that's how normally it happens. Fire.
Oh, well said, man. And I want to just shout out, like, I don't care what's going on in the comments, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way to the elemental, but I think I have to say this because I think there's a real pressure in society, especially in social media and podcasting platforms, where, we as generators of the conversation feel like we got to give the real answer all the time, especially based on our platform being based on consciousness. And I really got to just give a shout out to respect to Win and Earth because they gave the real answer. And just because I see things differently, I'm very clear that my lenses is the fact that I was raised in a single parent household. I'm very clear that my lenses is that I was a father of a daughter at 19 years old. And so there are certain emotional, triggers and cues that I had to, my mom helped me, right? Just that was the air that I breathed and the water that I swam in. And then I became a dad at 19 to Lexi. Like I had to tap in because that logical stuff, that logical straight cut and dry talk wasn't working with a 1.5-year-old little girl, 2-year-old little girl, so I had to develop these skills, and I'm grateful for that. Even to this day, the team that I manage, 8 account executives, 7 are women, 1 is a man. And so if I didn't have these skills, there's no way I would be able to do what I do. But it's about learning, and it's about understanding that they're just different. And so our default is to think, or as a thought, okay, what do I think about this? Does this make sense? Let me connect the dots. Let me be rational. They go into the body and then out of the mouth. We go into the head and then out of the mouth. And so whenever I'm listening to a woman, I'm thinking about where is she speaking from down in here? Where is that coming from down in here? And then I go to my own head and process it. Now I start using my rational, logical mind to connect what I'm dealing with verbally or non-verbally with the feeling or the emotion that's generating that communication, right? So now I can activate that that man mind and fix the communication or fix the situation. So it's just a difference, man. And shout out to y'all for keeping it real and telling y'all truth. Man, don't listen to them comments.
Exactly. We're gonna say what we're gonna say. And we're gonna stand on what we stand on. And the same thing that you said, Water, is what I said. I just went on and added to it. Let me just add one more thing. And I'm gonna just give you an analogy. I think men operate for the most part, and this is just a broad generalization. We operate on 2 gears: war and peace. Whereas women, they operate on multiple gears, like 6 gears, maybe even more. And so if something doesn't elevate to the extent that it requires war, we want peace and quiet and tranquility. But if we need to take it there, we take it there. And women just don't operate like that. Women, as opposed to necessarily going from war to peace or peace to war, they, have to have a little commentary, and then they get a little riled up, and then they have to talk to their girlfriends, and then their girlfriends get riled up, and there's multiple gears. So that's just an analogy. We operate a little bit differently.
I really felt that when you said that. And I think that a lot of men out there will feel what Wynn just said is it's either war or peace. And anything that disturbs the peace is war. So I could totally, when he was saying it, I was like, oh man, I was like, Wynn actually hit me with something that I was like, man, I really never had seen it like that before. But yeah, it really is either one of those 2 situations. And again, we are generalizing. Maybe there's some men out there who might have multiple gears, and what we're giving you the answer that resonates and rings true for us. Now, with that being said, the next question is, why is it when a woman wants to be loving, snuggle, or just spend time with their significant other, it's sometimes considered by men as being clingy? When a man does it, all is well and rosy in the world. So I know that was a long one. If you need me to repeat it, I will.
So it could be. Go ahead, Eric.
No, you go ahead. This is
it could be that man whoever wrote that question, that your experience with men is that they don't want you touching them, or they have a problem when you're overly touchy. That could be that that level of physical touch is not that man's love language, as we said earlier. Sex is. I know what women may view sex in the context of physical touch. I don't even think it's in that bucket for us. Like that's for most men, it's such a transactional thing. It's totally different from cuddling. Like a dude will beat before he cuddles. Most dudes will beat before they cuddle. I'm trying to be PC here. Water, I get it. But I'm telling you,
I got my finger on the button, bro. Yeah. So you're doing good. You're doing good.
Doing good. All right. So just know that. And so for a man, there's a small window where he might be open to some cuddle. Most men, I should say, and that's right after some sex. Like you might have a small window to get your snuggle on right after some sex. His dopamine and all his brain is firing. He's feeling good. Go ahead, get you some cuddle time. But when for a demisexual like myself and somebody who loves physical touch like myself, I got nothing going on about it. And just understand that just might be relative to the guys that guy that you're seeing, whoever asked that question.
Yeah, I mean, if the guy that you're dating, if he loves physical touch, then if you notice, this is just what it is. If he's someone who really likes physical touch, and then with you he doesn't, or you've seen him, being affectionate with other people, and with you he doesn't, he's not checking for you. That's just the reality of it. He's not checking for you like that at all. That's just what it is. Or it could be, so that's one thing, or it could be, someone like Fire mentioned, that's not his thing at all. It's just not. And so he just doesn't he doesn't flow like that. So yeah.
See, I'm going to try to be a little bit thoughtful, and I think that for some
you
men,
said that you guys weren't thoughtful. I heard that. I heard that.
Is Wynn trying to clean up from the past?
I don't know, but let me just go ahead and okay. So go ahead, Wynn.
So there are two in my eye. There are a couple of issues here, and one issue might be with respect to the frequency in which you attempt to cuddle up with him. Like if a man is in a particular space, a space of thought or doing something that is important to him, right? And you are interrupting him with frequency of that type of emotion, or that type of affection, he might not necessarily be in the mood for that right now. His train of thought is elsewhere. Something else is important, or he's occupied by something, and that could be regarded as you being clingy if you're doing it with a high frequency. You're not necessarily respecting his space and his time for self. Number two, like I said, you have to pay attention to the room. Like the old saying goes, you got to know your audience. You got to know who you're with, and you have to respect that man might be doing business, or might be watching football, or there's something that is critical, or important for him at that time, and it's just not, your timing might be off. So you have to feel the temperature and read the room. It's not necessarily a rejection on you. It's not a rejection of your affection. You just have to manage the room, just like you would manage the temperature in the room in corporate, or in any other environment. You just can't throw yourself onto people all the time. So I'm gonna just pause right there.
So I will say that in certain situations, I agree with Wind, right? So it's contextual. I mean, there will be situations where anyone had a hard day or whatever, and it's like, don't touch me, or like, it's get away from me, right? I need to be, because some people, they need to be like alone, or kind of, they just want to work out in their head, and sometimes they just need to let the steam blow or whatnot. So they may be having an issue. So that is contextual. However, I will say that it's very likely that's going back to what Earth was saying, where he's just not into you. Because I have to just think about it on my level. Like, if my lady wants to spend time with me, or she comes and wants to snuggle, I'm going to she tells me she needs a hug, I'm going to give her a hug. Right? She comes and she's like, hey, just sit on the couch with me right quick, or I've had a bad, whatever it is, I'm going to do that. So if he's like, like, get out of my face or whatever, then that's a signal to you to move on, because unfortunately you may be married to this person. That's the real unfortunate part. And you may have been in a relationship with this person for a very long time, and you're hearing this, or kind of like you come into this realization, or maybe this brings you to a realization, but that person just isn't into you. And going back to what Fire said about the whole snuggle thing, like before, like, only after, bro, come on. Like, that's a young dude thing or whatnot. So let's talk about, so I guess he's I guess he's still like that. He's telling them, look, he's telling them. That's a young dude thing, because as men mature, so like the transactional aspect of a young man, right? So think about it. A 20-year-old versus a 40-year-old. The transactional aspect, typically men mature much later than women, as I said last week. So the transactional nature of having a little nookie is going to be different for men as they mature. So not wanting to cuddle before, like if you haven't grown out of that by a certain age, then you're going to be like that forever. But again, to me, it goes back to your love language as well as your willingness and openness to satisfy your partner. And sometimes that is a hug, bro. Sometimes it's a little kiss on the forehead. Sometimes it's a little sniff on the neck or something like that, as opposed to, and so when Fire was saying no, I'm saying that it's not always about the sword. Okay. Sometimes it's about basically having a little bit of finesse, right? So instead of trying to be a power golfer, you learn how to be more finesse. So that was where I was going with that, Fire, when you were saying cuddle time is a no-go beforehand. I think that's just, to me, that's a younger man's realm, if you will.
My bad. I'm just telling my wife that she looks good and trying to give her a kiss before she leaves. No, I'm not on mute anymore, baby. Am I getting that kiss or no?
Hey, bro, both of y'all. We're gonna put. Matter of fact, let me kick you out the thing so you can do that, bro. You
set it up for tonight. Let him do
you're wasting the elementals time. The audience is saying, like, we want to hear the answers.
They want to see the affection on camera.
On camera, Corey. You're taking too much time. You're waiting too long.
Let's go.
I should feel rejected.
All right, so I'm muting.
Go ahead. Next question.
I'm muting this dude so he can, get off camera or whatever. Earth, Wynn, did you guys have anything else to add to that? Because I know that
I agree. It is somewhat like a young man's game. So I definitely agree with that. Because as you age, you mature, you really begin to understand what you actually like. So let me make it personal. I began to understand what I like, not necessarily, in your 20s or whatever, you're not really thinking about what you like. Well, let me say, I wasn't really thinking about what I like from an intimacy perspective, but as I got older, I just really started thinking about, like, what do I actually like? Like, what do I like? And then
intimacy is the word you just brought up. That's the word that I missed. I didn't mean to interrupt you, bro, but that's the word that I was not hitting or whatever. So that's the great word that I missed in that whole thing that I was saying.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry about that, bro.
No, and for me, as I matured and got older, just everything began to flow differently. Think about more being in sync with your woman, as opposed to, like, you just kind of thinking about, what do I need out of this? Okay, this is what I think she needs, possibly, maybe. I'm just going to guess on this one. Instead of really, like, you have conversations about, what do you like? What do you don't like? So you start having conversations. So everything changes, like the game changes as you get older, because you become more considerate of, the woman, more considerate of, like, what you like, what she likes, to bring about harmony, from an intimacy perspective. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents.
I like that. Okay. So Fire was pushing us along to the next question. So let's look at it. What is the biggest misconception women have regarding men?
I think that's a repeat.
What's the question?
Yeah, I got in trouble for that last week, bro.
Yeah, that's a repeat. Because my response to that was that all men cheat.
Okay. So never touch my list again, because you unmarked that one in my.
I did not unmark anything.
In my specific code. Don't lie. I know you did. All right. So the next question then: can a man honestly love children who don't share his DNA equally as his biological children?
Yes. Next question.
Well,
I
yes
agree.
and no.
Yes.
I'm
So,
leaning.
so are you guys going to leave it simple and plain and just say yes? And should I proceed? Should I
No,
proceed with my no?
he said, can he? Doesn't say does he have to?
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, give them what they're asking instead of just, you know, like, let's elaborate instead of short change.
Well, I'm the one in that situation and for that question. And so I lived this for 20 years. And I was a father to we don't even use the terminology step father. We don't. If my daughter ever introduced me to anybody as her stepdad, I would be tremendously devastated. Like, there is no difference, last name different and all, like, but from DNA, yeah. But in my heart and in my soul, she is my daughter as much as Aubrey is my daughter, as much as Aaron and Imani are my son. So I just say yes because that's a quick one for me. And I will say this to the women who have children who aren't married or betrothed. If you sense in your gut that a man that you desire, that you're after, is not capable of loving your child as his own, get the heck up out of there. Ain't no way. There's no way. There's no way, God forbid, if I was a single dad and there was a woman who was interested in me and I was interested in, for whatever reason, right? But Courtney was gone, right? I don't care what you look like. If you don't love my kids as your own, I don't care how old they are either. There's absolutely no way. Just like I couldn't deal with a woman who didn't like my mom. Like, there's no way. So short answer is yes.
That's a great answer.
Can see my time.
My short answer is yes, because, you know, human beings are incredible. In the same way people can love a dog more than they love their spouse or their mother or whomever. Absolutely you can. But you choose whether or not you want to do that or not. It's a choice, clearly. So the human brain is remarkable. Human beings are remarkable. We can love whatever we choose to love. We can. So for me, the simple answer is yes, absolutely.
I would say, you know, it depends. You know, it's both yes and no. It really depends on the maturity of the man. You know, if that's a conscious man, if that's a mature man, and you have raised your child or children appropriately, properly, respectfully, such that he has the opportunity to actually love that child or those children, and I would say yes. But the unfortunate part is that many of the children that are born out of wedlock are so infuriated and so upset that their father is not present that they would never respect another man coming into the house. And so it breeds, you know, a contest. And so it actually impedes the mother from actually developing a functional relationship with the man and vice versa. In addition to that, you know, there are issues with respect to the potentiality of abuse that some men don't want to accept the risk for that. So, for example, if you have a 13-year-old daughter, 16-year-old daughter, something to that effect, can he really attach himself to you and, you know, feel safe? And could he love, you know, that child And could that child love him? It's a risk. And the horrible thing about it is that men that do accept that responsibility are often disrespected. You're not my father, you're not my daddy, you can't tell me nothing. And this guy is, fed you for years, clothed you for years, sent you to school, and tried his very best to be honorable. Yet he's met with disrespect. So, all these situations, it just breeds a high calculus. And so that's why I say it depends.
Yeah. Wow. So these guys, they pretty much comprehensively covered the gambit. I can't even add a single thing to that. If I did, I would just be not even doing any justice to that. So great job, guys. So listen, we are 56 minutes in. We have a choice to make. We can keep going or we can wrap the show up. It's up to you guys.
Let's do one more question to wrap it up. Make it a good one.
I've got 5 more, so maybe we'll go a little over. I got 5 more good ones, and just type. Matter of fact, hit me in the private chat to say, "Hey, listen, I'm tapping out when we're ready to go." What are men insecure about?
Dang. Oh my gosh.
What are men insecure about?
All right, let me try to bring some reframe to that question and narrow it down. What top 3 things from your perspective do you think men are most insecure about? What are the top 3 things that you think most men are insecure about? I'm gonna say
don't reframe their question. It could just be one thing, because I mean, like, honestly, or somebody may say nothing. I don't know. But
men are insecure.
You give your 3 things.
Men can be insecure about everything. All right. But the thing that I see in my observation of men is number 1 is financial situation. Number 2, his physical stature, and that could be height or attractiveness, fit or fat, right? His physical stature.
When is loving this question, man? Look at it.
And number 3 is probably I don't know this, but I'm assuming from the females know better than me that it's the size of his appendage. That those 3 things are drive a man crazy if a woman doesn't edify him in those areas. Take care. You got it, Big Daddy. You can take care of me. You look so good.
That's enough.
That's enough. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that's what I got.
Okay. What are men insecure about? Earth. Wind. Wind needed a drink. Wind is over there catching the drink for this one.
That's enough.
You got to win. Let me think about this for a second, because I want to make it personal and the men all around.
So let me just preface it. This has absolutely nothing to do with me.
So we know that this has everything to do with him, but go right ahead, buddy.
Absolutely nothing. So I'm just gonna echo what Fire said. It's the size of his.
Bro, we heard all that. See, you guys are just gonna get it.
I mean, I'm just giving it to you rough and rugged and raw. You know what I mean? So it's the size, right? It's the ability to perform and to provide orgasm, right? Is that safe for work?
It's too late, man. You said it, bro. I'm about to eject you, bro. There's no need to repeat what Fire said. Come up with something because we want to give them a comprehensive. We want to give women something comprehensive. We've heard what Fire said.
We want to let them know that is true.
There's consensus,
and it's money. You know, the ability to provide for his family and to do it in such a way that it's easy and graceful.
If
And
if an ugly short bald fat man has money and he's hung, he feels like a king, right? But if he's not, then he probably needs therapy, right? Those are really the three things, guys. So Earth, if you got something else, I'm all ears. Like Water said, y'all got some other blind spots. Do tell.
Bro, we're not as like you guys. All you need to say is this is what it is for me. That's it, and then we'd have been done.
And I'm gonna say one last thing. A man might be insecure about his ability to protect himself and his family physically.
Okay.
So I'll say this. It is, men are insecure about what they cherish most being taken away, period. What they cherish about themselves. So it could be something physical about themselves. It could be something monetary, whatever they cherish the most being taken away, period. And that's just what it could be. It could be all of those things and more. So when I thought about it, like for myself, I remember me and a buddy of mine, we were sitting around talking. This is years and years and years ago, and we actually had this conversation about what is the thing that we fear the most and probably the most insecure about, and we both came up with the same answer. It's diminishing skills as we got older. That's what it boiled down to for us. Meaning, will we be able to, for example, mountain bike or do things that we do now at the same level as we age? That was for us, and it could have been different for other people, but the two of us came up with the same thing. And that was it. It was because we cherished, and I think about it now, we cherished like our athleticism, how we move through life, the things that we did, the things we love to do, our activities, those like that. So we said like at the time, that was our biggest thing. Diminishing skills as we age. And that could be for a different guy, it could be anything, but for us, that's what it was. But if you think about it, diminishing skills, whatever that is, whatever your skills are, and having them to not be as sharp as they are when you're, 25, 30, whatever, and you turn 50 and, you may have some diminishing skills. That's what you think as when you're younger. Well, that's what I was thinking when I was younger. So yeah,
I love that.
Let me add one more thing.
Hold on, bro. Like, let's go around the horn. It's just puff pass, bro. What you doing? You over here getting out of the cipher, man. So I like what you said, Earth, because these two dudes now that you actually elaborated, Win is like, oh yeah, oops, let me say something else.
No, it's totally different.
And I like how you said it because it really is different for a lot of men. However, the things that Fire and Win unanimously agree upon are definitely important to some men. However, I mean, there's all kinds of things, right? There's men who are insecure about their hair, right? Look, I don't have hair, right? But I do know how it impacted me when I saw that my hair was leaving me, and I was like, oh my God! And it took me a while to let it go.
10 years to be exact.
Hey, bro, I don't wear a hat every episode. You want to take your hat off? Bam! All right. So think about this, women. Men are insecure about their hair. Don't let them tell you otherwise. And if you look at men who wear hats who are bald, you will see it, right? And it's nothing, there's nothing wrong with being insecure. It's just that, like what Earth said is exactly right. Men are insecure. There's whatever you actually hold and cherish important to you. It could be your, like, how smart you are. Some men are very regarded as really looked up to for their intellectual capacity. And so if someone appears smarter than you, then you might get a little insecure, like especially if you come across someone who knows more than you. So there are the physical things, but there are mental things as well that may impact men. Like Earth was saying, it actually may be your competency, right? You may cherish being a really competent person. It may be your career, right? Competency and career typically they tend to go together. So you may have moved up into the corporate ladder, climbed high or whatever, and never made it to the VP or never made it to the C-suite or never started that business. It's not really about money at that point. It's about how you look to the outside world. So I would say that it's much more complex than the three definitive answers that wind and fire were trying to say that, oh, this is it. I would say it's a little more complex than that, because there are a lot of physical things that men are insecure about, but there are some non-tangible things or intangible things that they're, and I like what Earth was saying as well, your ability to function, because people who are active and they really cherish being active, if you can no longer do that, maybe you have a limp now or something, it's like you will be totally insecure about that. If you were a runner or whatever, some sort of active person, now you can't do it. You just may be insecure about, like, now I have some sort of limp disability, like, or I just can't even do that anymore. So I would say it's a little more complex than that. When you were going to add something.
Yeah, I was going to actually say something to the effect of what you just said. You know, men are very competitive, right? And so in any sphere that, you know, that man is competitive, he's going to be insecure in that particular field. So like you said, Water, if he perceives himself to be a smart guy, he wants to be the smartest man in the room at all times, right? You know, if he's the best football player, he's the best basketball player, if he's the strongest, if he's the tallest, if he's the best dressed all the time, if he's the most eloquent, you know, he always wants to maintain that high level of sight from other people.
Yeah. So the insecurity thing is a real thing. Don't let, even as confident as we appear, listen, every person on this planet is insecure about something. So never think, women, even though men are walking around as with a face on as they're confident, everyone has something that they're insecure about. Just keep that in mind.
I do not approve of that message.
Oh man. All right, guys, we got another one. The question is men having a mommy issue a real thing? If so, do you think it's a big thing, meaning it affects his relationship with women?
Yeah.
We have 2 yeses. Fire.
No question. A woman is a man's first love, and that primordial relationship sets the tone for all other relationships that follow it. So it is a thing. But a man could have a strained relationship with his mother, and that doesn't mean that he's doomed to being a great life partner and a great dad. I know many men who have strained relationships with their mother, and they are like all-star dads, all-star husbands. So yeah, it's possible, but yes, it does play a factor, and it all depends on that man's ability to move past what was or was not there with that relationship, and they don't project it onto the women of their lives that they love. Some people do because they've got no awareness. Now, I will say the brother that I'm thinking of specifically went through a lot of therapy. I had him on my show in our group last year. He went through a lot of therapy to work out his issues, but it's possible.
Yeah, I agree with that. In psychology or psychiatry, there's such thing called mother wounds, and this is not necessarily pertinent to men or women per se, but just in general. So there are issues that people have with their mothers that manifest themselves in relationships in general. And then there's how it manifests with relationships with women as well. So yes, and like I said, I echo what Fire says. I don't think that if you have an adverse relationship with your mom, that you're gonna have necessarily have a adverse relationship with your wife or your significant other, because it could just be that your mom is just bat crazy, and that she's uncontrollable, and you might be the same one, and you know, or vice versa.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's possible that you know there could be issues if sometimes if the guy's mother can't let him go, that could be an issue. Like if she's holding on, because with some people who grow up in families, the mother treats the son like a husband or like it's her man or something like that, and then it may be making this up. I don't know. Haven't talked to him, but it may be difficult for her to let go because that means that she'll truly be single. So it's difficult. Sometimes it may be difficult to let go and allow him to live his life and to be. So that could cause issues, and he may feel torn between his woman and his mother, and he doesn't want to disappoint either one of them at all. And so that could cause issues. So yeah.
Yeah. I like all you guys' answers. And I'll just go, I'll get a little naked on this one and just say that growing up, I did have issues with my mother. And my mother watches every single podcast. And you already know, Ma, we cleaned that up years ago. Okay. After I did the little seminar thingy with these three guys, we cleaned that up a long time ago. And it really has changed the way that my relationship with women is. It really has. So I could say that from a person who actually grew up with issues with their mom, I can say that the women who I was with before I cleaned that up with my mother, God bless you all, because I want to apologize to you. Hopefully one day you just stumble upon this and see this clip and know that I want to apologize to you, because I just didn't know any better. And I didn't even, it was so blind to me that I wasn't even able to, it was just like over there somewhere. And I just couldn't, I didn't even know something like that even existed until I actually got to a point of where now I can talk to Ma about anything. And I'm gonna have to hear her talk about how I made her cry when I said this part of the on the podcast. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. But I do think that yes, if you're in a relationship or about to embark upon a relationship with a man who has an issue with his mother, you're gonna have some serious issues with him, because you have, as men, we have to resolve that issue. We have to.
That was the most sensible thing that you did all night.
I know. I know. Saving it till late in the show. And what I've been doing is I've been watching the streamers. Guys, I think we could stay on this thing for like 4 or 5 hours, and people would just be like the number of streamers. What are you guys doing? They're just there, man. They want to hear these answers, guys. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do, because I got another question. I don't know who has to go. Just tap out and say, listen, guys, we need to wrap this up. I've got another question though.
I got time for one more. Y'all keep going though.
Nah, we're not gonna go without you, bro. So this is the last question then, ladies. And just know that it was Fire who actually is the reason why you couldn't get the answer to the rest of your questions. Okay, just know that. So then the last question is, why are a lot of men so sensitive and unforgiving to something going wrong in the relationship on our part, but almost feel entitled to be forgiven for his own wrongdoings.
Ooh.
Maybe in his eye, you have done something tremendously egregious that's unforgivable, and vice versa. You know, everybody feels the episode or what transpired differently. So you can't expect everybody to, to feel the same way about what an experience. You just have to talk it out and try to reconcile that matter so that you can leave it right there instead of having to deal with it forever.
I'm gonna take another cut at it. I think that is generally acceptable that men screw up royally. It's generally acceptable that men screw up royally. It is not generally acceptable that women screw up royally, especially in the matter of fidelity. And I think that going back to your earlier question about insecurities, we talked about ego last week. Like, men can't take, like, we're not built for the like people ask us in the group all the time. They ask this question in my group. I'm like, yo, it's over. There's nothing to even talk about. And like I don't care about you could take everything. I'm out. Like I'll start butt naked with nothing. I just can't. So, and I think that operates inside of the generally accepted guiding principle that we stupid, man. We stupid. We mess up. We mature late. But you can't do what I do. It is definitely a double standard. This is a great question. And I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to front. I'm going to tell you the real answer. It's a double standard when it comes to messing up in a relationship, however that looks. And I think for me, here's the share part. It wasn't until I realized that I really had to start thinking about, how would you feel if Court did that to you? How would you feel if she said that to you? How would you feel if she said that about you? How would you feel if she took that business outside of the relationship and had a conversation with somebody else other than you? And I had to look in the mirror and say, dude, you'd be devastated. You'd be out. You'd be over, but you'd be devastated. You'll never love again the same. You'll never trust another woman again in your life. I'm dead. Nice. ASS. I'm keeping it a buck with y'all. And so in that moment, I was like, yo, I look back on all the dumb stuff I did. I'm like, I can't believe I did that to my best friend. Like, I can't believe I did that or said that or to the one I love most. Like, and I realized that it was a lack of self-love that was at the crux of all my transgressions, however they looked. And so that's my answer, man. Keep it a buck with y'all elementals, just for rocking out with us 17 minutes past the hour.
I don't know. This one is difficult for me to answer, actually, because I don't rock like that at all. So it's really like, this is, we talked on a prior conversation about being able to relate. Like, this one, I've never rocked like that at all. So this is a difficult one for me to really answer. Because if I did, like I said before, I'd be making stuff up. Definitely. Because if someone does something in a relationship, for me, let's just have a conversation about it. It's like, I do everything I can to not overcomplicate life, because life is really simple. It's really, really simple. So if something happens, like, let's have a conversation about it. It's easy. And then come to whatever conclusion we come to and just move on. As long as we agree to whatever conclusion we come to, let's just move on, period. Regardless of what it is, doesn't matter at all. So that one was difficult for me to relate to answer.
And for the record, I've never experienced that myself, but I've observed that.
Got it. Wind is trying to tell us, like, by denial, he's trying to tell us that all of this applies to him. Oh man, and I fire is correct. I'll say that Fire's correct. The double standard for people, right? This isn't just men who have double standards. Women have double standards as well. So, women have double standards just like men do. However, the question is for men. So some men have double standards where for them, no matter what they do, there's nothing wrong. What are you talking about? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. And for others, they want a partnership. So you have to really look at it in the context of what's happening. And at the same time, the two wrongdoings may not be the same. So I think that everyone answered it, or Wind and Fire did a good job of answering, and giving a solid answer on it. But I would just say that the double standard is a real thing. For me, I'm like Earth. I don't really, that's not a thing for me. I'm always partner with whoever. Like, if we're going to roll, we're going to roll. And when I'm out, I'm out. But I'm not going to sit here and beat you upside the head with what you did. But I'm moving on. Right. And if you can't move on and you're beating me upside the head, then I'm out, because I don't want to sit around and drag baggage around with me and use that as a weapon for you, the next person I'm with, the person who I will be with whenever, years down the road or whatever. I don't want to carry that around. So to me, I kind of just move on from whatever it is. And that's just the way that I roll. Now, Fire said he had to go. Elementals, we have to end the show. I know. We had, look, see, they're in the chat saying next question, please. They're begging for it, Fire. We can't do it though. I mean, I understand the man has to go. Usually, let me just tell. Let me go ahead and fess up and be transparent here. Usually, I literally am 99% of the person who is just like, hey guys, we got to end this show like in the next 2 minutes or whatever, right at the 1 hour mark. So this is different for me, but I wanted to be open to giving the elementals what they wanted, because the last show was probably one of the more popular ones. The first part of this was one of the most popular episodes that we had, and this one is pretty popular. The streamers they've actually increased now that we're like 22 minutes over our usual runtime. So it looks like, this is what the people want. However, Fire is bro. I can't read sign language. What does that mean?
I got 10 more.
Okay, we're gonna do one more question, because it probably really is just this is gonna be the last question for real. We'll cut it at an hour and a half, and then that'll just be that, because we all have lives to get to and everybody has stuff to do. So I did not have a question ready. Let me see. Okay. So, why do men think women are lying or disingenuous all the time?
Not that one. No disrespect to the author of that one, but that one's not the one we want to end on. It's laden with assumption. Like,
okay.
I don't.
Okay. I wasn't ready. I thought that was the last question.
Thought you had 8 in the chamber. You have 5 more.
Bro, you said that was the last one, man.
Well, how about this? How about we go around and say what we want to end the show off with? You got any wisdom?
Hold on. How about this one? Okay, why do you act differently around your friends and other people than you do with me?
Ooh, man. I don't do that. I don't do that. But I think, I'm making this up, I think that men who do that did not marry or are not involved in a committed relationship with somebody who they perceive to be their best friend. Because if you were, Like I'm as goofy as I am with my homies as I am with Court. Like that's my best friend. So I'm actually my most transparent self with her. You know what I mean? And then the people outside get a little piece of me minus, you know, the vulnerability, because she gets it all of me. The good, the bad, the ugly, the funny, the silly, the sad, the serious. She gets it all. So I would say, and then pass the mic, that guys who do that do so because they have a best friend outside of their relationship. Mic drop.
Earth. When? When? Come on, man. The clock's running. We can't wait on this guy to laugh for 10 minutes, man. Come on.
Yes, mic drop.
I don't. Represent me to the question one more time, so I can get specific to it.
Why do men act differently around me and others than they do with, or why do they act differently around their friends and other people than they do with me? Excuse me.
Well, some people compartmentalize life, and so they feel a particular way because they have a particular affinity with certain people, and they don't necessarily have that affinity or comfortability with others. And so we, just like we code switch at work, right? You know, there's a lot of code switching in various environments. And so I don't think that's necessarily unique to men. I mean, I think that quite a bit of people do that. So I'll just leave it right there.
Yeah, I agree with Win. I mean, you know, people are who they are around different people because someone may give them the space to be someone that they can't be around, you know, their mate. I mean, to me, it's that simple. You know, someone, you know, you may not give him the space to be corny, or you may have said something like, "You're whack. That's a stupid." And then be like, "Okay, I can't be funny with her. Let me go with my boys, and I can just laugh and just be funny and be whatever." So sometimes, not all the times, but sometimes it's the context of the relationship. Sometimes it's giving your partner the space to be who they are, to be every aspect of themselves without judgment or without, you know, you thinking that he's, like I said, his judgment, thinking he's silly or he's something else, you know, without criticism. So that could be the case.
I love that answer. It really is as simple as what Earth said, is that sometimes I may feel that I'm with the guys, so I can just talk about certain things. Sometimes I can cut certain jokes that are just, you may find offensive, you may think are insensitive, but the guys think that they're funny. And so I think that it really does go around to circle back around to what he said about having a space. And I think that what Fire was describing is that he and his wife give each other the space to be themselves, so that, hey, he can be the way he is around her, the same way he is around us. I've been around Fire, so I kind of want to question that, but you know what? We're going to say that for another day. We're going to say that for another day. I
will say this, though. I think to the question, the author of this question made me think about my daughter who's 23. She said this. She said the same thing to me. Like, why does my boyfriend act like this when he talks different when he's talking to his friends? Like, I think dudes be trying to be hard when they with their bros, man. They talk different. They use different slang. When called it compartmentalization, it's just like they feel like how I'm speaking or how I'm being has more resonance with this audience than it does you. And so they change up the vernacular, soften the tone, maybe, or what have you. And I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that. But if they're being phony in terms of their character, their values change, their character change, all of a sudden it's like, all right, dude, like You could use the whatever N-word, whatever you want to use when you're talking to your broskies, and don't use it with me. That's not fake. I don't want to be sitting there N-word with my wife and my daughters. But if you're a holy man, and when you're with your wife and you go with your homies and you are a holy heathen, like yo, that's a different conversation, bro. You should still, character-wise and values-wise, you should still be 100. Your vernacular, your lingo, your discourse, it's a man. It's not a woman. That's why we talk the way we do with our broskies.
Character and value. Yeah. If those are different, that's a whole different ball game. But outside of that, the language may change. The language may just be different.
Yeah.
All right, good. So that's it. No more tapping out. We're done. So let's go around the horn and put a fork in this, knife in this steak, in the heart, whatever you want to call it, and go around. Elements. What do you want to leave women with about men?
Keep mine short and sweet. Clearly, there's a difference in how we show up. There's a difference in how we experience each other. There's a difference in how we communicate with one another, or I should say speak, because sometimes communication is not even really occurring. I just want to leave you with both the men and the women elementals to remain in the inquiry. Whatever this inquiry, when Earth or was when who asked you to come up with these questions, don't stop with this second show, because we're not doing a third show on the same topic. Keep asking those questions to yourselves. Ask those questions to the women in your social circles. Ask these questions to the men in your social circles, your brothers, your uncles, your sisters, your aunties. Keep the conversation going, because the more we learn about one another, how men think, how women feel, how we can interpret and receive the messages that we're sending, then that gap will be bridged, because communication is the only thing that's in between us. So I appreciate y'all, and well done coming out in droves with these questions. It shows a lot about where y'all are and what y'all desire. Underneath all of these questions, I see a desire for connectedness, a desire for getting gotten. Men want to understand women. Some men. Women want to understand men in a major way, and it's evident by the engagement. And Win knows the stats better than me. They really want to get us, and that's encouraging to me. So, brothers, if you're watching, if your woman's asking you questions, your sister's asking you questions about your get down, don't get frustrated. She's trying to decode you, man, so that she can connect with you on a deeper level. That's all I got.
Earth, you go, I'll go, and then Win will close it out, because Win's up next.
Okay, cool. No, I agree with Fire. Just be in the inquiry. I mean, that is hands down like the most important thing, is to be in the inquiry, and be patient. And this goes both ways. Of course, we're talking about what women can learn from men. Just be patient. Allow him the space to be who he is, and you'll be amazed at what you get. You'll probably get all you want and all you need if you give him the space to be like just who he is. And you'll be very surprised at that. Very surprised. But yeah, just be in the inquiry. Be curiously engaged. Don't judge. Leave your judgments to the side. And just allow yourself. The important thing is, you give yourself grace and mercy. You can give other people grace and mercy easily. Period. That's all I got.
I love it. Women, what I'd like for you to know about men, the single most important thing that I'd like for you to know about men is that everything that we do is for you. Everything. The way we look, the way we talk, the way we walk, the business we want to go build, the empire we want to go build, climb up the corporate ladder, all those things that we were saying that we may possibly be insecure about, all those things the fortune we're trying to go amass, how I'm trying to get much smarter. We're doing it for you. We're not doing it for other men. We're doing it to attract the best possible mate that we can attract. And so everything that we do is for you women. I'll leave you with that. Win, take us out.
What I would like to leave you guys with is this, is that at the very base, men are different than women for sure, right? There's no question about that. But in these circumstances that we've discussed, there's one commonality, and that commonality is that most of emotional responses are unconscious. So the question is, how can you bring more consciousness to the experience, to the communication? That's real level on no. None of us could, live in a vacuum. We need each other. We have to be more patient with one another. We have to be more understanding of one another. We have to communicate more effectively with one another. These are all commitments that we need to, maintain to have a healthy and happy relationship and progress forward for ourselves and for a community. So the last thing I want to say, have stick-to-itness. Stay in your relationship and work it out. If it's partially a good relationship and it's more than 50%, work it out. Do your very best. Honor that relationship. Respect that relationship. Honor that person. Respect that person. Honor yourself and respect yourself. Love yourself. And with respect to next week, as usual, I have no idea what we're going to talk about. But I promise you, it's going to be on time and it's going to be on fire. So to then, peace.
Peace.
All right. Next week.